Okay, bowlers, do it. Hold up on your practice. Stagger your machines back to the first ball. Press your check marks. You can begin. Again, you will skip 4, bowl on the 5th. We'll get scores updated as soon as we can. Make sure you get the scores listed on the recap sheets so we can pick them up and get them going. Good luck.
Mike should be here anytime. I told him not to. Yeah. All right. All right, good luck today.
All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Anderson, Indiana, here inside Championship Lanes for the semifinal round of the Indiana Masters here on Savage Bowling TV. Scott Gilmore here. Mike Albee will be joining us later on this morning. Chad Lester here as well. And this is the point where this tournament, in my opinion, begins. We have 36 bowlers here looking for a spot in the top 32. 16 of them will be seeded. Seeds 17 through 32 after 2 additional games. Pins do carry over, so the players are able to carry over their cushion that they acquired yesterday in qualifying. I want to thank our sponsors this morning. I want to thank Motive Bowling, Pinheads Bowling Center in Fishers, Indiana, Mike Albee's Arrowhead Bowl in Lafayette, Big Four Sox, the Indiana State USBC, and the Anderson-Madison County Visitors Bureau. Visit AndersonMadisonCounty.com.
This is one of those rounds, only being 2 games, you can't afford to really have a bad game if you're trying to move up a bunch of spots. How many pins between, say, 48th and 16th?
I knew you were going to ask me that. And
really, I mean, it's 48
and I'm sure someone took my standings
probably
from yesterday. I got 50 sheets of paper up here, and I do not, can you believe I do not have.
Somebody took those unofficial standings that we had last night.
It's not a surprise. You know how people are. They always want to know what the standings are.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're wanting to know the standings, go to your mobile phone and then download the team app. There you can search Indiana Masters, and you can find out all the latest scores, updates. Jeff Circle and his staff do a phenomenal job updating all the tournament information. You can see brackets and all kinds of stuff. So,
if you're in the chat room here on YouTube, I just posted the link, and I will pin that message to the top of the.
There is 50 pins between 17th and 49th. There was a tie.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff takes 48th in all ties. There were 3 people tied at +5, so 47, 48, and 49 all advance. I've bowled this round on numerous occasions, and really was, like you said, Chad, it's all about your low game has to be, I always felt, in the 190s.
Yeah.
Now, if you're at +5, you have to shoot. You got to figure you got to go 20 or 25 over as a minimum.
Agree.
Pins are going to, there's going to be some movement there at the top as well. this pattern was so tough yesterday that you have to figure that scoring is going to be very difficult
for the rest of the day, really, because they're going to re-oil after these guys are done. Final should start between 11 and 11:30 this morning, depending on when they get the lanes re-oiled.
Only 3 on a pair. This round,
Go
these
pretty
two
quick.
rounds will go, I should say these 2 games will go very quickly.
And they started a little bit early since everybody arrived on time, or early, I should say. 5 minutes early is going to make a big difference. Again, we have cameras on 3 and 4, 7 and 8, and 13 and 14. We'll move them about every 3 frames, so this will go pretty quick.
We got Ryan Sidney and John Murphy on 13 and 14. There you saw John Riffle off to your left on lane 12, leaving the 2-pin. And again, you want to leave stuff you can make. And a 3 or 4 bagger felt like 7 in a row, really.
And speaking of spares that you can make, not all of those are even gimmies.
No.
Like a 3, 6, 9, 10 for a right-hander. I mean, you don't know what the ball's going to do.
And to get the ball to go through the pins, you can hit the pocket, but can you get it to knock 10 pins over? A lot of 7-10s I saw yesterday. Obviously, this center's kind of notorious for 4-9s or 6-8s. So even if you hit the pocket, there wasn't any guarantee that you were going to leave yourself even a spare.
And isn't it funny? You see a lot of pin action in this center, but yet you see a lot of pocket 7-10s and things like that.
Well, and you know, here's the thing. Pins know when you're tight.
Yeah.
And when the pattern is so hard, the body is tight usually. And it's just hard for the ball to go through the pins the right way. And it's amplified even more with this kind of a pattern.
Right. You saw, we heard a lot of people last night saying they did not want to have to bowl this round. And I could see why, but also I can see where it's an advantage to bowl this round because you get 2 games under your belt, you're warmed up, and we're ready to go if you make, the top 32.
Well, here's the thing, Chad. See, the players that qualified in the 17th through 24th or 5th, they didn't want to bowl this morning.
No.
Because you're only a handful of pins out of
yeah.
locking yourself in. It's the bowlers that are in that, 36 to 48 spot that relish this because now they have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
It's those players that were really 17 to 32 after qualifying 4 squads yesterday. They didn't want to bowl this because they felt like we were in. All the pressure's on them. We have a really good pairing here on lanes 3 and 4.
Yeah, we'll get to them here in about 2 frames or so.
Danny Clark, Cameron Clark, father-son, and then Bailey Maverick, a really solid 2-hander here in Indiana.
Yeah, just another one of those high school bowlers that we've broadcasted, won a title in Fort Wayne in, I want to say 2017, 16, one of those years.
Right in front of us, but off camera, on 5 and 6 is Shelby New and Cameron Bollinger from Terre Haute. If you remember, Cameron made the Indiana Scratch Classic Final Four a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And unfortunately for Cameron, who bowled really well that year, he made the Final Four where he just ran into the buzzsaw. Known as Matt Sanders.
Oh, man, Matt, that year, there was no stopping him.
Well, you look at the last 3 champions of the Indiana Scratch Classic. You have Gene Perez, Matt Sanders, and Jimmy Cook. If you're going to have a list of 10 or 12 of who you think are the best players in the state of Indiana. Those 3 guys are on that list.
That would make one heck of a trio team, wouldn't it?
Sure would.
In a trio tournament.
And this is a situation, again, as we talked about. When you miss the pocket, you have to leave something you can make. And you obviously have to fill frames. Do have some senior bowlers bowling this morning that made the top 48. Obviously, John Murphy being one, Danny Clark another. Looking around to see who else we have. I think Riffle's over 50.
And you were talking to Mark Sullivan last night about the possibility of an Indiana State Senior Masters, and he was all about it, it sounded like.
Yeah, we went through our rant yesterday petitioning the state board for Senior Masters. We'll see what happens. And again, you know, one thing that we do have to keep in mind is they have a lot on their plate.
Yeah,
and this is not just one of those you show up the day of and you run it. There is a lot of work that goes into running an event like this.
Right, and then you get into this part of the season. State tournament's about ready to start in February. Is it going to be starting in February? End of February?
Yes, I believe so.
So they're getting ready for that, and it's just...
And you have to have a lot of volunteers, and you have to have a center wanting to host in the prime time of the bowling season.
Yep. Now, Jeff Hudson said he'd host it. It sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, Jeff Hudson's up there in Decatur. Nice little center. Villa Lanes with Dave Vitito. Went up there for the Trios event in Fort when it was supposed to be held at Pro Bowl West, and due to COVID issues in the county of Fort Wayne resides in, we had to move it to Decatur, and Dave and Jeff did a phenomenal job hosting that. Nice center. If you've never been there, you need to go visit Villa Lanes. And I'm telling you, they have a little Mexican restaurant there that's fantastic.
Ooh, inside the bowling center?
Inside the bowling center.
Oh, wow.
It's very, very good. Well, Bailey Maverick had the front 4 and then leaked one right open with the 2-4-10, missed it, and now back in the strike zone with a strike in the 6. Now Cameron Clark with the big shot here off to our left. You'll see him come out. And ball's right there. Throwing urethane. Oh, and he gets a late trip of the 10 for a double. So
saw that right out of the corner of your screen.
Some good scoring here on 3 and 4. The only negative to where we're at, we're off to the side. We're behind lane 5 and 6, championship pairs 7 and 8 this weekend. And we can't really see scoring as the players are all the way down, I believe, until lane 24, if I'm...
Yeah, 26, 24 or 26. That, you know, that's a little bit of an issue once we get into match play where won't be very much going on down here, but there's going to be a lot going down in the 30s.
Yeah, and we might have to...
might have to do some wireless
might have
commentary.
to do some roving here in match play. Oh, and Danny Clark with a flush strike. That gives him a 3-bagger. Looks like Danny's gone away from the urethane. If I was a betting man, and I told everyone yesterday, I'm betting the farm, the winner's going to be throwing urethane. Now, I don't see a ton of urethane being thrown. I believe Cameron Clark is throwing it. Bailey Maverick is definitely throwing it. I see a few other players throwing a purple hammer. A lot of the top guys all threw urethane yesterday. Jimmy Cook, E.J. Tackett for the most part. Kevin McCune threw urethane. Noel Vega, I believe, he said he threw urethane, right?
I believe so.
I should say Noel. This was one of those where I thought, gosh, if I could just shoot 210 both games, I loved my chances. 20 over doesn't seem like a lot, but in this, it's huge. As you know, Chad, that was a bad rack for Bailey Maverick. If he had to do that over again, he probably would have re-racked it.
Yeah, and sometimes you see those bad racks and you're like, well, should I or shouldn't I? And
it looked like there was a pin or so, 2 off spot there. Maybe the 3 pin might have been a little off spot. And then he leaves himself the 2, 4, 8, 10. It is makeable, but you got to hook the ball past the 2 pin and hit it light.
Yeah, and he can make this.
He's just going for 3.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Get the count.
Well, he still
Every
has
pin counts.
Yeah, he still has 230 out there, but you're thinking more. He's thinking more 2-0, 210 range is good enough for him. Right now, Bailey is. Get my team map out here since I don't have my sheet. Bailey was qualified. He's down there at +9, so he's one that can't afford
to give away pins.
He's got to get all of them that he can possibly get. Now back to Danny Clark with a 3-bagger. 3 9 spares to start his game, and now 3 in a row through the 6, and that's way left. All right, no damage there for the most part. Danny is right there in 35th at +17. His son, Cameron Clark, is right around him. Yep, +20. So, again, a few pins here and there. Just a huge difference for who gets in and who comes up just short. I will have to say, I'm not going to start the righty-lefty debate, but I'll be honest, I do think the right side's better than the left this year for some reason.
I agree.
The way the right-handers were bowling, it blended to me a lot better than what the left side did. The left side was really, I felt, cliffed more so. I don't know why, but I tried to play parts of the lane that some of the right-handers were because I didn't have urethane, and I couldn't get it to blend.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a issue with just you being on that lane versus
or traffic.
They have 3 or 4 right-handers.
You know, we can't generate the carry down quick enough to maybe calm the lane reaction down.
Right.
And I again, no complaints with the lane pattern whatsoever. Some days you come in and you have everything, and then some days you come in and you don't have much of anything.
Yeah, and there are some lefties who've made it. You know, Danny Clark's one of those. And so it's possible. I still think the condition was pretty fair. Scoring wasn't super low. Actually, it's pretty comparable to what it was last year, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was just a little more friction this year than in the past few years. You saw a lot more players playing the outer part of the lane, you know, and I'm talking like 2-3. You couldn't do that in the past, but again, you know, I think a very fair pattern, no complaints from me whatsoever. I just didn't have a good ball reaction.
You didn't.
And I magnified that by doing what you typically do when you don't have a good ball reaction. You throw it all over the place. That's kind of what I did. Big 3-bagger here right in front of us on lane 5.
Well, I feel like when you think you have to hit a mark that's the size of a hair, your arm swing gets pretty tight.
Well, yeah, you're trying to fit the ball. You're trying to fit a square object in a round hole kind of analogy. And
right.
As you know, that's just doesn't work out very well. All of a sudden, Bailey Maverick starts out with front 4.
The right lane's getting him.
And he went open in the 5th with a 3-4-10 or 2-4-10, then open in the 7th with a 2-4-8-10. Now he left a 10-pin here in the 9th, and he's now looking at himself with, he's going to be happy with a 2-0 game. And you had to be thinking early on, he's thinking, okay, maybe 220 game here. But again, we talked about this several times. You cannot think that far ahead on this pattern, because before you know it, a couple opens hit you in the face. And
again, you got to wonder on that shot there, what was going through his head is don't get it out like I did the previous 2 shots, and then he tugs it.
Still got 2-teen out there, and he's going to need it. Well, I remember last year bowling in this round. I started out with like a 179, 180. I think I had 620 in qualifying, and
You thought you were done at that point.
Yeah, and I come down here, I believe on 3 and 4, to be honest, and I just got in a groove, and I got a break. Ended up shooting, I think, 240 my last game, 230 or 240, and found myself in the top 32. And you never know what can happen when you move on that second game. You don't know how the players before you bowled on it, what the transition is going to look like, and well, Danny Clark has a 210 game out there. Now Bailey Maverick here on the left lane, 10th frame.
Got it out. Well,
I
almost got it out too far, but
that's the advantage of urethane with 2 hands. You can just strap on it, and it just kind of lays up there. Now Cameron Clark.
Oh, great shot. That was an awesome shot.
Oh, I had to give Litton and Holford a hard time as they're sitting at our table with our camera on it, and all of a sudden, I don't know if they were really excited about Cameron's 9-pin or what.
Or it was frustration like, dang it.
Oh, big shot there from Bailey. That's going to put him in the 2 teens possibly with the strike, but at least, that's got a hook. Oh, Cameron Clark.
Oh, that's not.
Oh, that's what you don't want to give away right there, Chad. Even though he's 235 game, but you take 240 any day of the week. You just hope those 12 pins don't come in play.
Yeah, marking in the 10th there could really have relaxed him even more.
Nice shot there from Shelby. New, off to your right on lane 6 with the strike. She can shoot 190. And huge finish there for Bailey Maverick. He's probably thinking, what could have been? 213. Now a big shot here from Danny Clark. First ball in the 10th here. 210 out there. Oh, and he comes up high. And he leaves the 2-4. And that's going to put him in the high 190s. If you're Cameron on that open in the 10th, you just
got to forget about it.
Got to forget about it. Move on to the next game. And as Shelby New comes in high off to your right, and you see she left the 3-6. Cameron Bollinger on her pair finishes with 164. See a 224. Obviously Cameron Clark with 235. That's the highest game I've seen. Got a 210 over here, 213. 200 on the nose. I see another 220 score.
Looking down here at 11 and 12. It's a 2-12. Two-oh. Didn't see what Ryan Slosser shot.
Yeah, he was plus 33 coming into this morning.
Was he here on? He was here on 9 and 10. I just don't remember what bowler he was. There was a 170, 190, and a 2-0. 179, 204, 196 for those three bowlers.
Well,
so it's one of those scores.
I'm going to use this as an example. We see a 160 game and a 210 game on 7 and 8. So let's say the 160 game had just missed the top 16 at plus 55, and let's say the 210 game was plus 5. All of a sudden, the 210 is right there with them.
Yeah.
I mean, they gained 50 pins just like that in one game. So, again, a lot can change here in this 2-game sprint. Again, after we find out the top 32, there'll be a slight break. They're going to re-oil the lanes, and then we'll come back on the air once we get the final tallies. We'll come back on the air somewhere around 11 o'clock for single game double elimination match play here at the 2021 Indiana Masters. Scott Gilmore, Chad Lester here in the booth. Mike Albee will be joining us here for the top 32. Weather here in Anderson, sloppy, wet, snowy. Roads in town were fine. I'm sure, as they said, south going towards Indianapolis, 69 was in pretty good shape.
Yeah, they said around the Indianapolis area was pretty good too. It's for us, it's going to be making that turn and going back north towards Lafayette.
Yeah, as we go towards probably north of Lebanon is when you're going to probably.
Yeah.
Danny Clark finished with 197.
These road crews can do some pretty remarkable things, though. So.
Well, it's going to be a while before we leave.
Yeah, we won't get out of here until probably after we tear down, probably 7 o'clock-ish.
Hey, Mike Albee's in the house now, made it safely. All right, on 5 and 6 in front of us is Aaron Jones. We have Adrian Cassane on 3 and 4. We also have Robert Kammer and Jeremy Adler on our TV pair on lanes 3 and 4. Our TV pairs are 3, 4, 7, 8, 13, and 14. Try to get a look here of who we have on 7 and 8. And then on 13 and 14, it looks like we have we're going to be able to see Danny Clark, Cameron Clark, and Bailey Maverick again. Now your first look of Jeremy Adler, former Purdue Boilermaker college bowler, who now resides in Columbus, Indiana. And fortunate break there with a Brooklyn strike. Jeremy told me yesterday that he just grinded all day in his 3-game set that he qualified in. He was plus 26. His high game was 212, and he went 202, 212, 212. So just kind of kept it around the head pin and was able to fill frames and throw a double when he needed. Hopefully here we'll get some standings once the scores are updated, and when they are, we'll bring you those scores. Again, 3 on a pair, the games go by in a hurry. Robert Kammer with the strike there. On 9 and 10 is Trent Jarvis, a former champion of the Scratch Classic way back in 2015. He's with Scott Schmall from up in the region area, Northwest Indiana. He has a washout split. This is way down off. You can't see it off camera. Just kind of trying to give you an overview of who's where. A nice double there for Jeremy. Now Robert Kammer here on lane 3, working on a strike in the second. Looks like he's throwing urethane. Good shot there, 10 back. Again, we thank you for your time this morning and watching the broadcast here of the 2021 Indiana Masters from Championship Lanes in Anderson, Indiana. Want again to thank our sponsors, Big 4 Socks, Mike Alby's Arrowhead Bowl in Lafayette, Motive Bowling, and Pinhead's Bowling Center in Fishers, Indiana. Also the Indiana State USBC, and our sponsor of the semifinal round, the Anderson-Madison County Visitors Bureau. Visit AndersonMadisonCounty.com. And there's the mistake you don't want to have on lane 4 for Jeremy. 2, 4, 8, 10, excuse me, and we have seen that a lot this weekend. And Jeremy's going to try to probably slow hook this. He's on a double, so you probably don't want to give up any pins. 3 means 6. So, yes, you would like to make it, but 2, you want to make sure you get 3. You never know when a pin or 2 could be the difference. Good safe play there, in my opinion. Too early in the game to be going for it. Now, if he struggled game 1, then yes, you probably are thinking about going for it at that point, but not sure what Jeremy had his first game. Again, Jeff will get us scoring as quickly as possible. Their staff does a phenomenal job here at the State Masters. A very underrated player here for a female is Erin Jones. Solid player here. I believe from the Crawfordsville area originally. Coached in her younger days by Gary Ness out of Lafayette. Gary, a very talented left-hander, Hall of Famer. USBC team event champion, several state titles. And you can see some traits that he put in Erin's bowling, and she is a solid player. And she's one of those that was glad to have a couple of games here to try to inch her way into the top 32. She was plus 10 in her qualifying. Originally, we didn't think 10 over would get in, but then scores just kind of continued to drop. And then all of a sudden, before you knew it, plus 5 was getting in. The lowest 3-game total, I believe, in quite some time here at the Indiana Masters. Last year was 609, I believe, made the cut to top 48. And just think about it, that's just a 201.67 total. I mean, it's not like you had to strike a bunch. You just had to make spares and then throw a timely double somewhere. Okay, we're going to take a look in at 7 and 8. Not much going on 3 and 4. We'll keep you updated on Robert Kammer and Jeremy Adler. You saw Erin Jones there on lane 5. You saw her ball come down. She left the washout there. Once we get scoring, we'll probably maybe take a quick look around. Again, the rack on 4, it's probably hard to see. We're off to the side of 4. The rack on 4 has not been the best. The 5-pin looks like it's a little off spot. It's probably hard for the bowlers to see that when you're looking at it straight on. But I'm sure if they came over here to lane 5 or 6, they would probably notice that a little bit more. Nice cover there by Erin Jones on the washout. Keeps her clean game going through 6. All right, Clint Million and Jason Johnson, 2 of the players on 7 and 8. Both players had a respectable game, 210 and 220. Again, you're going to be talking about just a handful of pins separating quite a few players. All right, Jeremy Adler had 224 his first game, so that puts him at plus 50. He's comfortably in. And we got totals here. All right, Ryan Sidney with a 252 his first game. Hunter Glaze, 245. Scott Schmall with 248. Cameron Clark, 235, which you saw. Aaron Jones had 244. Jason Johnson, 223. Michael Lunsford, 210. John Riffle, 212. Mark Wilson, 214. And right now, Danny Clark is the number, and he is tied with James Sutton. Actually, there is a three-way tie right now for the last spot in the top 32 at 814, and that is Danny Clark, James Sutton, and Zach Newman. Guys that made huge jumps. Ryan Sidney went from plus 30 to plus 82. Hunter Glaze went from plus 31 to plus 76. Scott Schmall went from plus 8 to plus 56. And Scott right now has 114 in the 6th with the spare in the 7th, so he's in good shape here. Again, plus 14, so he's got a 42-pin cushion. Other players that of note, Scotty Kramer is right there at plus 56. Ryan Schlosser at plus 29. Bailey Maverick at plus 22. Clint Million at plus 21. Cliff Dukes at plus 16. And again, you have the three-way tie. Those just on the outside looking in, Shelby New at plus 12. Dexter Harrod at plus 11. John Burge plus 1. And then Robert Kammer struggled mightily with his first game, went 148. He's at 794 minus 6. But he's got a game going here right now. He's got a 230 game out there, and he's probably going to need all of them. Or at least the next 3. That would get him in the 220s. We're going to guess coming into the top 32 was plus 20. It dropped to plus 14. I'm going to guess it's going to probably drop again. You might be looking at maybe 9 over, 8 over as a guesstimation. And again, this was, you know, you get 10 minutes of practice on your pair, and you're able to kind of groove something in there. You get a little bit comfortable. It's that move to game number 2 when you're skipping 6 pair. That's when it becomes tricky. How do you handle that? Can you read the lanes quick enough? And sometimes it was even a ball change necessary. Ooh, and Aaron Jones just barely makes the 5-9. She's clean, though, through 8. Hanging tough. Those needing a good game, Trent Jarvis shot 146 his first game. He's at minus 34. Brendan Holford shot 146. He's at minus 37. Billy Hibbard is at minus. Actually, they have his score in wrong as far as the total. He's at 772. So he's actually minus 28. Cameron Bollinger is at minus 26. Scott Dillion is at minus 17 after a 178. John Murphy, who had bowled so well. He struggled his first game. He was at shot a 154. He's at minus 15. But again, you shoot 220, and you're right back in it. See, this is where, again, you have to have some breaks. Erin Jones has thrown a couple of loose, what we call loose shots, and she's left herself makeable spares. Again, this is just such a frustrating, when you're not bowling well, it's just so frustrating. And Erin with her first open of the game, she's got 165, but she was at plus 54. So even with a spare 185 game, she's still going to be in the plus 30s, which I think would easily get her in the top 32. And that's all you're looking to do right now, is get in the top 32. Now, the question will be, will we have a tie? Now we're getting down to crunch time. Nobody really doing anything on 7 and 8. Now we're going to go back to Danny Clark, Cameron Clark, and Bailey Maverick here on 13 and 14. All three of these players were in the cut, Danny Clark being the number. All right, and looking over, Jeremy Adler stepping up here into the 10th on 3 and 4. He's got a strike in the 9th. He's comfortably in. He's just looking for a spare of any type. He's plus 50 right now. Even with an open, he would still be in the high 30s, low 40s. So he is comfortably in. And he leaves the 6-9. Now Scott Schmall on lane 9 with a strike in the 9th. And he's going to leave just the 4-pin on a high hit. He's going to advance into the top 32. Cameron Clark way, way, way to the right. Both he and Bailey Maverick throwing urethane. There's a nice shot. And Erin Jones with the spare. That's going to put her in the 180s with a good fill ball here. That's going to comfortably get her in. Jeremy Adler picked up the 6-9. And he gets an 8 count. He's at 199, so he is at plus 49, comfortably in. Scott Schmall with a 193. So he's in with 49 over. So there's two players that tied, and I imagine the tiebreaker will go to high game, and Scott Schmall will win that tiebreaker. And Erin Jones gets a 6 count. 181 minus 19 for Erin, but still that's going to put her at plus 35. Nobody shot anything on 7 and 8. 169, 164, 189. Nobody shooting anything on 5 and 6. 181, 172 a possibility. Now Danny Clark with the 7-pin here on lane 13. And he converts it. And we got Deadwood. Good old Deadwood on 13. And as a bowler on that pair, if you're like Cameron Clark and you're got a big shot, you just hate to have any kind of interruption in your normal routine. All right, the staff gets the deadwood out of the way, and now Cameron Clark stepping up on lane 14. We know he struck last frame. They are getting down into the 9th or 10th frame, I believe. Oh, great shot. Now Bailey Maverick, and he looks like he has 7 spare in the first. And at least a 5-bagger. He is clean through 8. Oh, and a stone 9-pin. But he was working on a strike. He's right now looking to be in the 240s with a spare and a, actually looking like he's on a 230 pace, which now Danny Clark, he needs something here. Oh, and he throws a dandy shot there. That's a strike in the 9th. He's got an awful lot of spares, it looks like. I don't see maybe one open there, possibly for Danny Clark, but not a big game, so he might need some help. He is on the number after game 1 here. Game 4 for their total. So basically 5-game total count here for a chance to be seeded in the top 32, seeds 17 through 32. Now Cameron Clark stepping up here in the 10th frame. He opened in the 7th, but he's thrown a double in the 8th and 9th frame. Bailey Maverick going to go first. This shot right here for Bailey would put him in the 240s. And a beautiful shot there. Actually, that'll put him, that's guaranteed 230s there. That's going to put Bailey Maverick in. Now Cameron Clark, who was comfortably in after game 1, didn't want that 9-pin miss to affect him, and he throws a strike. That's going to lock Cameron Clark in the top 32. And again, these two young men throwing urethane.
How long will they be able to stick with it later? That's the question.
Well, and I think moving from pair to pair could be an advantage with that. I think if you're staying on the same pair of lanes a lot of times, urethane, oh, there's 240 for.
And it's going to be less traffic overall, too.
I'm telling you right now, I'm sticking with it as long as I possibly can if I'm a player.
For sure.
And here's the advantage. Here comes the lane machine coming down, and they're going to rerun all these lanes again. So you're going to have a little bit tighter back end possibly, but still. It's Cameron Clark doubles in the 10th. Nice bowling there from Bailey Maverick. Goes 213, and I believe somewhere around 247, 248. So Bailey's going to be in the 870s, or right around there. High 860s, low 870s. Now Cameron Clark, who was at plus 55. He strikes out. And he looks like he's going to shoot a low 200 game. Now we're just waiting on Danny Clark, and this looks like it could be a big shot, Chad. I'm not sure what he's got, but
I was trying to look, and
it looks like he's clean.
yeah, he is clean.
Not a lot of strikes. Oh,
We jinxed him?
and that's going to knock him out, though.
Yeah.
There was a three-way tie, Chad, for one spot after game one. 8-14, and there was 3 players.
Oh, wow. So we could have had a roll-off.
We would have had a three-person roll-off one game to determine the 32nd seed. And unfortunately for Danny Clark,
He tried for it. He knew he needed that.
I don't know where he was at, even if he made it. But I don't think a low 190 game would have been enough anyway, Chad.
No.
I don't think you could have dropped 8-9 pins. I'm not sure that would have been enough anyway.
Looks like it's maybe 190 right on the nose. I can't tell.
Well, and if he would have made it, that would have put him at
191
2-0.
maybe.
That would have put him at 2-0, and I would have.
That'd have been very close.
I think if you would have gone up I think you would have been in. I think there would have been a chance, though, if you gone down 4 or 5, you might still be in. The cut went down, I believe, 6 pins or 8 pins after, I think 822 was the cut. 820 was, or 620 was the cut going in. 814, so it went down 6 pins. Could it have gone down 6 more pins?
It's possible.
It's possible. Now, Danny is at, if he shot 191, he's at +5. And again, what he's hoping it's not +6 after you missed one pin. You know, you just never know. But I think in his position, I think he had to go for it. It's
yeah, he
the
probably
right
felt
play.
he needed a lot more.
Yeah, I agree.
Jeff should have the standings out to us pretty quick.
These players need to turn their score sheets in. I see score sheet down on 7 and 8.
I think I'm going to go down and grab it. Was he bowling?
Yeah.
I'm going to go grab it.
All right, we're going to just take a quick break here. We'll keep the live stream going until we find out the final scores, but semifinal round is over. We're waiting to find out who is the top 32 here at the Indiana Masters. You're inside Championship Lanes in Anderson. We'll be back here on Savage Bowling TV for your top 32 scores. All right.
Leading today,
Your top player in this two-game total was Hunter Glaze at 1,100. Here is the cut.
Cameron Clark, 1075.
The cut score, that's all I care about, 16th. Miss Anderson makes it. Shelby New is the number at -5.
Wow.
It dropped 19 pins
Over those 2 games.
in the last game. No,
Oh,
just
the last,
last
yes,
game.
Yes, yes.
Danny Clark sneaks in at +5, so he was safe. And hard to believe that it dropped 19 pins to -5 at Shelby New.
Well, we saw scoring go down, yesterday.
Well,
The later squads each squad, they just kept getting lower and lower.
Well, I asked Jeff, or I walked in, Jeff Circle said, well, no ties. And I'm like, well, that's boring. And he's like, as a tournament director, you want the excitement, but you're also wanting to keep things moving right
Yeah,
along.
keep it
And
flowing.
a one-game roll-off takes an extra 30, 35 minutes.
Yeah. Well, what would happen is they would stop them from oiling,
Come let me know real quick.
and then you got to wait for them to bowl and then
Give me 15
finish oiling.
minutes to start getting the
And players that, of course, Zach Newman was at shot 2-8 his first game. He finishes with 152 to fall out.
those people that just finished bowling.
So a lot of movement, but here's your bowlers. Hunter Glaze, Cameron Clark, Bailey Maverick, Ryan Sidney, Scotty Kramer, Scott Schmall, Jeremy Adler, John Riffle, Aaron Jones, John Murphy, Jason Johnson, Mark Wilson, Michael Lunsford, Danny Clark, Scott Dillion, and Shelby New are your 16 bowlers that advance to the top 32 single-game double elimination finals here at the Indiana Masters. Scott Gilmore, Chad Lester, we're going to sign off. We'll be back. Mike Albee will be in the booth to bring you the top 32 here inside championship lanes at the 2021 Indiana Masters. We'll be back right